Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Barefoot Lawyer Reports on China. My name is Will Dethridge, the producer, and joining me, as always, is Chen Guangcheng.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to see you here again.
Yeah, and today we have some ongoing news from China. There's been an interesting trend that could spell for some hardship for the Chinese economy. Guangcheng, what's happening right now?
Yeah, that is a big problem for China now. Because the population birth rate is getting lower and lower. In mainland China, there are a lot of empty villages, a lot of abandoned houses in China.
Why is that, Guangcheng? What's going on?
There are three reasons. One is because of the CCP's evil one-child policy. Since 40 years ago, the Communist Party killed a lot of babies.
Through abortions, right?
Yeah, the forced abortions. So now in China, the population birth rate lowers by 20% every year. Last year, just around 8 million babies were born. So I think that is the first reason. And another thing is because a lot of people, maybe 5 years ago, had to go to a city to find a job.
Okay. So this is mostly happening in the rural areas of China?
Yes.
Okay.
So every year, maybe they just came back for traditional New Year, 2 or 3 days like that. The rest of the year, the villages are almost empty. Yeah, because maybe the worker's father or mother getting old, maybe died. Most villagers are elderly and dying.
Okay. Why are the young people going to the city?
Yeah, because if they live in the village, they have no opportunity to get money. So, yeah, the problem is even in the city, some areas are empty too. Because the CCP keep building a lot of buildings in the city, right? But the people have no money to buy the apartment.
Okay.
So a lot of areas are almost empty. At night, it is very dark in the cities, in the areas. This information told me China's population is getting lower and lower.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the big problem. This is why several years ago the CCP tried to stop the one-child policy, and now they tried to force the people to have more baby.
Okay, yeah. So how are they doing that?
For example, before the CCP asked all the hospitals, if the women don't have the permission, you cannot help the women to give birth.
Okay. Yeah.
But now the doctors cannot perform abortions without permission.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a complete reversal of the last policy, right, Guangcheng?
Yeah.
So do you think it's working? Are people?
No, it doesn't work.
Okay.
When the CCP published some article about this, more than 93% of the people comment under the websites. They said, okay, if you want more baby, just go ahead. Don't try to request us to do that.
Okay.
Okay, before you kill our babies, now you request us to have more babies. What is wrong? What is right?
Right. So
Yeah.
people are angry about that?
Chinese people are angry now. Now you can see the problem more and more clearly.
What do you think that the CCP will do next, or what else are they trying to solve the population crisis?
Looks like CCP does not have good ideas. Before the CCP tried to ask the leader to do first, then to influence the people.
To have kids, you mean, or to do what?
Yeah, to have more kids.
Okay.
If you are leader, you have to have the third kid first. Then CCP asks you to influence your neighbors to have more babies, but looks like it doesn't work.
Yeah, are the leaders having any more kids, Guangcheng?
I think that doesn't work. Yeah, that even, yeah, of course, if the leader so young, maybe they have to listen to the CCP, right? Yeah, because they want to keep the power. But if the CCP hopes the officials can influence the people, I think it doesn't work.
Yeah, would you say most of the CCP leaders are older?
In the villages, usually, I think the leaders more than 40 years old.
Yeah, so can they even have kids?
Yeah, even more than 50, 60. So if more than 50, 60, of course, the CCP cannot ask them to do that.
What do you think will happen then if China can't increase its population? What do you think will happen?
Oh, that will become a big problem. Almost 300 million people are getting elderly.
Okay.
Usually maybe after 3 or 5 years they will die, right? I think after 10 years, maybe Chinese population will fall to 900 million or 1 billion.
Okay.
Meaning in the future, maybe 5 years, China's population will drop 30%.
Well, yeah, what do you think the Communist Party will do in response to that? If people aren't having more kids, what do you think the Communist Party will do next?
I think the Communist Party will try to give some benefit. For example, if you have a baby, we will give some money like that.
Okay, yeah.
I think that doesn't work because if the family have more baby, you have to pay a lot of money for the education or another things.
Right, it's expensive to have kids.
Yeah, very expensive. So if the company just give them a little benefit, they will ignore that. Another important thing is, in mainland China, there are more than 111 million unmarried old women.
Okay.
Yeah. So, usually they should have a baby, right? But now they more than 30 years old, more than 40 years old, but they are unmarried. So no baby. Because they are old, so very difficult to find a husband.
How will this impact relationships between China and the United States? Can you talk about how this might make China more dependent on other governments and other economies? Can you talk about that?
Yes, okay. I believe that. They don't have enough the young workers. In fact, now some women come from Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam?
Vietnam, yeah. They found their wives from Vietnam.
Right. Well, we'll keep updating this situation, and we encourage all our listeners to like this podcast, subscribe, and share. It really helps us. And follow us on our media, including Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. And go to our website, humanrights.catholic.edu. Thank you, Guangcheng, for all of this information on this story today.
Yeah, thank you, Will. Thank you, my friend. See you next time.
The Catholic University of America's Center for Human Rights has published a documentary on the United Nations Universal Declaration on Human Rights. The documentary features world-class human rights experts, from former State Department officials to ambassadors and human rights activists. It can be found on our website at humanrights.catholic.edu.